So we're going into chapter 5, I believe. It is chapter 5, is it not? I know it's just called Speaking Your Truth. And we're not done with feelings. We will never be done with feelings until we're done with them, right? And even then, we're not done. They're still around. We just won't be letting them make decisions. But speaking your truth is very, very much connected with feelings. And as we begin to talk about this, you'll see that if you don't see it already. There are going to be some times in this class where I am actually going to read some things and quote some things directly out of the book, because quite frankly, some things were said in the book, some statements were made, recommendations of how to say things. You just can't, they just need to be restated, especially things that you can say in death situations and in change situations. I just feel like the way things were brought through me and said, they're just worth restating, and they're things we can all use. And I have had people use these statements in these situations, and not only have they felt a profound sense of release and ease with doing it that way, but the response from other people, they said, was just wonderful. So I'll do my best to recall those things as I speak, as we visit the chapter tonight, but please visit those statements in your book if I don't bring them up, and put them in your memory bank. And as well, if you have the occasion where you're going to a funeral or you're going to see someone who's gone through a divorce or the loss of some kind, we're here to practice. Read it, gather some ideas, obviously make them your own or restate them, but give yourself some comfortable things to say in these situations instead of the normal things we always say, which, no fault or blame in those, but let's see if we can, raise it up a notch or two. So, from when we're little kids, we're always taught that we need to tell the truth. We need to tell the truth. We need to tell the truth. Just tell me the truth. Tell me what happened. I think if a lot of us reflect on these moments, the moment that we're asked to tell the truth isn't always a very relaxing moment. It's something's happened, someone's gotten hurt, something's gotten broken, we're late, we're not on, we didn't get a good grade. Like, we're in this position of, well, just tell me the truth. What happened? And so in those moments that we're being approached to tell the truth that way, what's the first emotions that we tend to feel in those situations? Anybody?
Fear.
Fear. Yeah, let's just start with the most big elephant in the room. Okay, so you're asking me to tell the truth, but in order to tell the truth, I have to completely overcome my what?
Fear.
Fear. That what I'm going to tell you is going to do what?
Make you angry.
Angry. And possibly get me in trouble. So we don't associate the truth from a very young age with something that gives us freedom and liberation and healing and peace. Our conditioning allows us to associate the truth with, I'm going to get in trouble, I'm going to get somebody angry, I'm going to disappoint somebody. And we even have these amazing characters, real, characters in life, that we have these symbols of. And we can use Gandhi, we can use Jesus. These people told the truth. And what happened to a lot of them? They died. Things didn't go so well. So there's not, the perception of how does truth interact with the general level of consciousness is, it doesn't do so well. So based on that experience and based on the resistance for us to go into our deep, deep fear, we begin to bend the truth. We begin to dilute it. We begin to extrapolate it out. We begin to make it something palatable. Because based on someone's ability to accept something, we can just bring the truth down to a level that they can accept. And we justify it that, well, I just did that because, I really couldn't tell them the truth. They couldn't handle it, or, it would have caused a problem, or, it could have really ended my relationship and I didn't want to do that over it. So we start to make the truth something that is very, very acceptable to be subjectively manipulated in whatever way it needs to be manipulated in order to maintain relationships, in order to maintain peace, in order to maintain a marriage, in order to maintain a job situation, in order to maintain a status of living, in order to maintain a lifestyle. Well, if we make it that acceptable to be manipulated, okay, what's really left in it that's true at some point? And is the truth at that point really something that stands for anything? If we're not willing to be truthful without giving in to possible consequence, how much do we really believe in it? Now, I'm in no way saying we should live our lives with the intention of being a martyr. And I've talked about this in the visits before this, the talks before this, and anyone who knows me knows I'm not about that. I'm not about being a martyr. I'm not about doing something and dying for something to prove a point. No, I'm just saying it doesn't do anything any good for you to not be truthful and honest about what you know to be truthful. So when I was contemplating, excuse me, when I was contemplating talking about this, I wanted to look at it from your side. And I wanted to look at it from a general field of consciousness aside, of which I do consider you to be, in the above average realm. You're here, you're interested, you're learning, okay? One of the questions they may ask me is, isn't the truth different for everybody? Isn't the truth based on how we see things? The truth can be subjective when you look at it with these. The truth, anything can be subjectively dissected when you look at it with opinion. Well, isn't everything opinion? Well, that's why we talked about living intuitively before we talked about speaking your truth. The truth that you're going to be coming into, or that you're aware of, or that you're going to become more aware of, is the truth of how things really are. The truth of how something is has nothing to do with how you want it to be. So when you're finding a truth and you're attaching wanting to it, it's diluted. You're contorting it right off the bat. When you have an absence of want and desire and clinging, then you can find that you're resonating with a deeper level of what the truth is. It can't contain self-interest. That cannot be the truth of the highest good. It cannot be what's really best. Because if you're in it with self-interest, it can't be what's best. You are naturally included in the truth as a part of life. But when you take a self-interest point that's preservation-orientated, I have to maintain this, I don't want to upset this person, I'm trying to keep this going, that's you're losing it there. You're diluting. And I think that's a really good word. Compromising gets a little moral. Let's just stay with, it's dilution. You're diluting it. And in diluting the truth, you start to delude yourself into believing then. Then we begin the rationalization process, which we all know, once you begin to rationalize, there is no end. Rationalization is a form of addiction. You just start rationalizing it, and you can rationalize and justify anything. And I think the world constantly gives us validation that is a way a lot of people continue to exist in the world. They continue to just rationalize what they're doing is right. When life is really not giving them any feedback saying, you're doing a good thing. If I look at what I'm doing and I only look at a space that's that big, I can tell myself I'm amazing and I'm doing a great job and it's awesome and wow, look at this. This is just, wow, God, I wouldn't change a thing. But when you open it up and you start to look at the effect of your life, the effect of what you are being on life around you, that's when you start to realize what you really are and what you're telling yourself you are, what is true, what isn't true, what needs to change, what's good. It'll be full of all of it. But you have to be ready to be honest, okay? It's going to sound kind of like I'm saying against what I'm saying, but when you start to do this, you have to let go of judgment to know the truth. Because the truth will really be absent of judgment. It will show things for what they are, but it's not judging. It's just a simple observation. Jerry's got a black shirt on. Okay, I'm not judging Jerry's shirt as being black. I'm observing Jerry has a black shirt on. That's not a judgment. When you connect with the truth, it allows you to be in a space of pure observation, absent of what you believe is right and wrong. Jerry's got a black shirt on. Am I saying anything about Jerry's black shirt fitting him the right way, being the right? No, I'm just acknowledging that there is that. Now, what I want to bring into this observing, acknowledging space that happens when you embrace the truth is it helps you connect with some of the Eastern philosophies like Buddhism, okay, where the Buddha said there is suffering. Okay, that's the first thing. There is suffering. Now we need to understand what causes suffering. Suffering is caused by clinging, desiring, wanting. Once we come to a full understanding of suffering, then we can let suffering go, and then we don't suffer. It doesn't mean suffering doesn't exist. I've had this visit with several people coming into this class, and it's become important enough for me to show you all in the class what letting go really means. Because I think there's some misconceptions or there's some other places of consciousness around letting go. And I really have felt guided that this is the class where I want you all to really get a good definition of what letting go is. You're always my guinea pig. Stand up. So this works out great, all right? This is holding on. Okay? This is clinging. This is all clinging, wanting, holding. Many of you may see letting go as, okay, when I let go, just let your hand drop. This is letting go. Is that hand any longer around my hand? No. I've let it go. Well, that's the first step, okay? But is the hand still in the room? Yeah. So, and do I still have to be with that hand? If this hand was causing me incredible pain and discomfort, and I had to let it go, I let it go. The first step is you let it go. Now keep your hand where it was, okay? Now this is really letting go. Don't move it. I'm having your hand. I'm letting it go. Is it still right near me? Is it still right next to me? Yes. But I've let it go, haven't I? I'm letting it be. How long is that hand going to be in my life? I don't know. Do I need to get rid of that hand from my life to let it go? No. No. It's right there. Am I at peace with it being there? Yes. Do I accept it being there? Yes. Does this give me an opportunity to come to love and respect and honor everything that hand taught me, everything it gave me? Yes, but I've let it go. Which means if this hand, in its space of ignorance, chooses to do this, wave it back and forth, okay, am I going along with that anymore? No. Keep doing it. Does that have the ability to affect my peace anymore? No. It's just a hand being a hand. I don't need to have that hand not be around me. It's just there. That's letting go. Over time, will that hand get tired? Yes. Over time, will the ignorance of that hand become less? Yes. That's the whole theory of impermanence. That hand will not be that hand forever. Eventually, it'll become something else. But do I need to be attached to it? No. But I've let it go. But it doesn't mean it's gone. It means I've let it go. Now, eventually, you can drop your hand. That hand will be gone, okay? It'll still be in the room. And then eventually, it won't even be in the room anymore, will it? When this meeting is over, Nancy and her hand will go to her car, and it'll no longer be in the room. You can go ahead and sit down. Thank you.